So today's going to be pretty casual. Oh, there's Michelle. Hey.
Hey!
Hello!
Sorry, I was actually organised, and then when I texted you and you said you were wearing your wig, I was like, I need to go and get a wig.
I don't tend to like wearing wigs, and for most lives I do, I don't. But I just feel like, obviously, you are Michelle, owner of MIMO Wigs, and I know I'm talking to you as a person, but I feel like I'm sponsored by MIMO Wigs.
Sponsored without pay. What a great sponsorship!
It's the best kind of sponsorship, isn't it?
Yeah, an unpaid sponsorship. How awesome!
You're doing great. See?
Hey, Candy. So are you wanting to do a wee intro, Laura, and explain what we're doing, or you know?
Screw it. Let's make this really formal, shall we? This is
Let's do it. Not formal. Not formal.
So,
just like.
No, I know. So for anyone who's joining us, obviously we both kind of spoke on our stories and said how I'm very lucky that Michelle is my friend. I first met her through purchasing through MIMO Wigs, and then having a bonkers call that lasted about 4 hours. It was the first time we'd ever spoken. She said we're kindred spirits, and obviously I have lots of questions about wigs. So yeah, we just thought, why not start on a Tuesday just having a wee natter. See, I think I'm Scottish now.
You are. Well, you actually are in your blood. You just don't have the accent, but you actually are.
Okay. That's so bad. Don't ever let me do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't have a theme for today's talk, do we? We just thought we'd do a little intro.
No, it was just, a bit of an intro about, so I guess like for you guys, obviously we're on Laura's channel, which is awesome. And it was just really to kind of say a wee hello, wasn't it? And just kind of say who we are, what we're wanting to do. And really, I think we're both really passionate about, obviously we both have alopecia, we both wear wigs, we also both just wear headwear or sit about our houses with no hair.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, your hair.
I would like to ask you about this week, because we're going to take it in turns on our channels, hopefully, if we do this weekly. So obviously when we're live, everyone who follows you and everyone who follows me will get a notification. So anyone who likes either of us will hopefully join if they are available. I would say feel free to pop questions as and when we're talking about stuff, because knowing me and Michelle, we probably will end up just going off on one. I'm actually going to try and make us not do that for this first episode. But what I'm going to try and do is, I want to ask you a bit about your alopecia story, just for anyone, because I may have followers that don't yet follow you and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then I think at the end we can put some questions out and ask for some theme ideas and maybe what we talk about next week, because while we've got people here, may as well. Yeah?
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
If that sounds good to everyone else, everyone love the fact that I, for once, am going to boss Michelle around, and then next week she's going to get her revenge and will boss me around.
I know. See, that's the thing. Like, you think you're getting it good in first, but I'll get you back, and then some. So,
I know that the massive difference between our alopecia is that I was obviously I was a child / teenager when I developed my alopecia. And I think that's really difficult. But also when I hear about your experience and going through it as an adult, I just can't get my head around that, because I don't know how it's taken me 16 years to get to this point where I'm willing to be on a live and chatting about it. So can you talk through a bit about your hair loss journey?
So sure. So basically I started to lose, mine was fairly rapid. Like I had one tiny 5p piece patch in the past. And I was working at nursing, and a doctor had said, "Oh, you've got alopecia," and I'm like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Yeah, never had anything for years." And then that was literally it. And then 2015, I got up to go to work one day, had a shower, big patch of hair coming at the back of the head. Within 6 weeks, I was totally bald. Now what age was I in 2015? I was 33. No, yeah, 33. So for me, it was just kind of, I don't know, like I just kind of went on to autopilot, like, well, I still need to be at work, I have a job to do, I need to get out the house, just go. What do I do? Like, because I had dyed my hair jet black and it was cut shorter at the back at the time, so it was like this huge contrast between pure white skin and black hair, and it was like there was no covering it, there was nothing, and I was just like, well, time to go. And I had bought those bandanas like that I wore as headbands, like just as a hairband. And I was like, opened it up so it was like a square handkerchief, and I was just, I don't know what to do, kind of tied it and looked like I had put my head in a bag.
I still don't know what to do with those. I don't know how it goes from being square
well,
to
be fair, I just kind of went out and I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and went to work. And I remember like one of the bosses was like, Michelle, what have you got in your head? And I blurted out, my hair's falling out. And I didn't know her that well. I was in a new position working, and she was just like, "What are you wearing?" Like, not in a bad way, just what is. And I blurted out, I didn't want to tell it. I hadn't processed. I literally got up out the house and ran to work. And I was like, "My hair's falling out." And then as soon as I said the words, I was like, "Oh no!" And the guy I was working with at the time, the resus officer, was like, "Can you make an appointment with your doctor, please?" And I was like, it's fine, you know, I had a patch a few years ago like this size and I get told it was alopecia. I never did anything since. It's fine. And he's like, Michelle, you're making, and I'm like, I mean, this is great. Like, what is this? And I was making jokes, but I was really, the more I spoke, and it was kind of sinking in very quickly that I had lost a bit of hair. I'm like, is this coming back? Is this a one-off? Is this, what is this? So, you know, I went to the GP that day. I've heard so many people's different stories, and a lot of people have an like a kind of negative experience, or just a very kind of not supportive experience, or just a kind of it's cosmetic and totally doesn't address the whole aspects of how you feel. Now, when I went, it was a locum I saw, didn't even know her. I was so lucky. She's like, my GPs are amazing, but the locum was like, this looks like alopecia. It was actually, and then she said, but you know, come back to me in a couple of days and we'll have a wee chat. How are you feeling? Like, don't worry, it's nothing serious, but however, it's nothing serious physically for you. However, this is going to be upsetting, so you know, take your time off work, do what you need to do. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to work. I need to go to work. But she was like, I want you to come back in 2 days. And I'm like, why? But then 2 days afterwards, I remember sitting and I got hair brushed my hair. My son went, don't look in the mirror. I looked at the brush, more hair just came. Went back to the GP that day. So I'd seen her 2 days before, and I was like, so we're 2 days on. I have bald at the back. I'm going bald here in 2 days. Down below, no hair, no armpit hair here. Legs hairy as anything, you know. And she was like, I've never had hairy legs in my life, but all of a sudden, full force, like, what's happening? And she was just like, it's alopecia areata, you know, it might come back, it might stay as it is, it might all fall out. And I was like, right, so we've covered every option then. And she's like, we don't know, but what to do is, it's not nice. Time's going to be the worst thing for you because it is unknown. She was so supportive, and I was like, okay. And then I didn't know what to do. And then I was wearing woolly hats, middle of summer, and I just blurted out to anybody that would say, why are you wearing a hat? It's like, this is hot. This is Scotland and it's hot. Everybody's out there with no tops on, and like, you're walking around with a woolly hat on and a vest top. What's happening? And I was like, and I kept blurting out to people, and a few people were like, show me. And I was like, no, I didn't. And
yeah, stop you there. Why are people are obsessed once you tell them? And I guess I'm surprised people were saying that at on, you know, like, that's
I
really
think with me,
tell people you're wearing a wig and they like go to touch it. It's like, no.
I know, because like when I had hair, I would have like hair extensions or a weave. Nobody ever went, can I feel it? But then it's like, can I feel it? And it's like, okay then. But you know, I would make jokes very publicly, and I remember like within a week, it just all went so fast, and I just remember actually like praying, I don't care what happens, just please don't lose my eyelashes, don't care my brows, don't care, I'll draw them in, whatever, I can't lose my eyelashes. And I think what I remember going out with my daughter, coming home and saying to my husband, my eyes are killing me, like, what is happening? If I get something in my eye? And he's like, yeah, just about 100 eyelashes. And I just kind of broke down, and I literally had no eyelashes in that eye. I went for a shower, washed my face, washed my makeup off, and I had no lashes, no brows. And I was so embarrassed that I actually told somebody at work, I accidentally waxed off my eyebrows. Like, obviously you don't accidentally wax off your eyebrows. But I didn't cope. Like, my eyelashes fell out, and I feel like my whole world fell apart. And it was that thing that I never realised at the time, that now so many people have said, I totally associate with that. They're like, I just feel so guilty because I feel so vain. And now I'm just like, you're not being vain. It's not vain. It's not about, oh, I like how I look. Oh, I look great. Oh, no, how do I look now? It's not about that. It's like, when you look in a mirror, and you know, it's totally changed. You feel you're losing. For me, I felt I was losing my identity, and
you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah. And the GP had said to me, emotionally, this is going to be, it's not physically dangerous, but emotionally it's going to be bad. Phone us when you need to. I then phoned my own GP after having seen the locum. My GPs were amazing. Honestly, could not have. Literally, they need to teach everybody about how to treat somebody. What can we do? There are not great services for psychological services. However, here's breathing space if you really do. Come, speak to us, phone us, pick up the phone, come in, see us. We'll refer you to dermatology. A few weeks later, have you been to dermatology? I went for my flu jag. Have you been to dermatology? No, I still don't have an appointment. And the GP actually, it was my GP's husband, who's also, he's head of practice. He picked up his dictaphone and he's like, sorry, Michelle, just, are you okay if I do this for a minute? And I had a headscarf on, like, with a bauble holding it together. And he was like, dictating a letter. This is an urgent referral. This girl has lost her hair very rapidly. Almost total body hair loss. She needs seen urgently. This is needing to, now he's a dermatologist as well, but he's like, I think you need to have, I said, I need to just have a formal diagnosis because you're telling me, but I then had a great experience with dermatology. Honestly, I feel like I don't know if that's what's helped me come to terms quite quickly. You know, I just had so much support, and I know I had family support, friend support, I had support all around me. I didn't want anybody to see me without hair. In fact, I swore nobody would ever see me without hair. If somebody had said to me, you will be plastering, I didn't take selfies even when I was skinny and like athletic, and I would never, a selfie, oh my goodness, like the only photos you'll catch me in are with my children, my husband, my parents, my friends. I don't want to be in a photo. And then it's all of a sudden, it's like people are going, you must love how you look now. And I'm like, no, I actually don't. I totally accept how I look. I don't particularly love it, but you know, I'm happy to share photos, but like right now, I have on so much foundation that you could build a house on top of my face. Like, you know, I've got on a full face of makeup. I could make anybody look identical to me right now. But, you know, I'm kind of
when
trying
to... I'm coming to Scotland and that is a post right
I
there.
don't want that to happen. I'll be like, hey, look, we're twins. But, you know, I think the thing is as well with losing my hair and feeling, I felt so broken and I didn't want to tell anyone, so I would laugh and joke in public, but at home I made my husband take the mirrors down out the bedroom. I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to see myself. I didn't want to, I felt I'd lost who I was, and I felt like everything was in turmoil. However, I think for me, when you're saying you kind of think it must have been difficult, like to go through that as an adult, I'm kind of like, oh my goodness, I genuinely think, like, for me as an adult, I did find it so incredibly difficult. However, I then look at you and I think, oh my goodness, I don't think I would have had the strength within me to survive my teenage years had this happened to me as a teenager. I don't think I could have had that strength. I'm not saying it's better or worse for it. I hate when people do this whole, it's worse for a woman. Well, in a lot of ways, it's easier for a woman to cover it up because you wear makeup and people don't notice you wear a wig. Guys, it's not as easy. It doesn't mean it's easier for men. It doesn't mean it's easier for women. We're all individual and we all have had different life experiences. You know, it's just different. It's very different. You know, you'll have encountered things that I guess I will never understand because I didn't have to go through that.
You'd say there's differences, but there was two things that you said. So thank you for sharing like that, because we hadn't spoken before about how your diagnosis went. We actually haven't ever spoken between us. And I think it's great that you can recognise you had a really positive experience, because so many people I've spoken to, I was lucky as well. My GP had a specialism in dermatology, so he knew, and I remember sitting and hearing, he's done it for my eczema as well. It's really weird, isn't it, when the doctors sit and like speak into the dictaphone for someone to type it up. You're just sitting there, hear everything you're saying. This is really weird. But there were two things you said. One was when you told someone in a panic that you'd waxed off your brows. So rather than tell them the truth, which is, I have no control over this, but my hair is falling out, that reminded me, I was telling someone the other day how when I was confronted about having one eyebrow and a badly drawn one on, and I've been wearing my hair like this all throughout uni, like flipped. Every single photo that ever was of me at uni is my hair in one style, because it's a wig, obviously, and whatever. But I I started trying to make up a story about how I burnt it off, like my eyebrow. And I'm like, why am I going to this stressful extent to try and like make up lies? But it is because that's the shame. It's like, it's bizarre.
I know, it's crazy. And why should you feel shame about something that you get? You know, you wouldn't feel shame about being, well, I don't know, like you shouldn't ever feel shame about any condition you have, you know. And I think we do, and I think like a big part of, I know that like with us talking and stuff as well, and a big part of doing this, you know, it's like, what do we talk about? There are so many areas, and like literally can be broken down. And like, yes, we can do wig chat, headwear chat, wig education, and get some proper education out there. However, you know, I think a big part of it that we don't always talk about is, you know, maybe how emotionally we can find it tough. And I'm very aware of the fact that I don't want to be showing a false image of being like so toxically positive that, oh, this is great. If you're not like this, you know, like what you're seeing is a snapshot in time on Instagram. You're seeing a photo. You're not seeing the things that take you from one photo to the next, the hard times, the difficult times. You know, I totally accept how I look with alopecia. I need to try and remind myself, post a photo with zero makeup on so people see like that's how I look, you know. And it's like, I take a photo, I'll post a selfie. I didn't just go like that and take a photo and it was great. I'll go like this and take like 10 photos and go, I'll post that one. You know. And it's exactly. Like I hold it like this angle because I've put on weight and whatever, and it's flattering, or, but you know, realistically, like I laughed so much when I saw your photos that the photographer had done for you, and there's photos of you just like making it look crazy, and I'm like, do you know, that's the kind of photos that I just loved seeing when you had done that, because I'm like, you're just so honest, and it's like, that is real, and like to me that's so important, you know. But I mean, it's like I've got a really bright light on here, so you don't see all my wrinkles and stuff, but you know, they're there. But it doesn't matter.
It's not about, like you said, and I know this could be a whole week's conversation, and it may well be a theme in the future, the difference between body positivity and body acceptance. Yes. And kind of, I think actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I think I always feel really funny about this because I am an ambassador for alopecia now. That I do see myself as that, because I'm happy to talk about it out loud. And we've got who is it? Monica said, you know, she admires us for being able to talk out and show our bald head. She's had alopecia since she was 15, so similar age to me. And it's only in the last couple of years I've spoken about it to people that aren't close. And I can completely relate to that, because I literally wouldn't mention it to colleagues or anyone. I went through uni not telling anyone and making up crazy excuses from what was clearly, because I didn't know how to do my makeup or anything. And, you know, I didn't know these brow transfers existed. Probably didn't.
I didn't know how to do any form of makeup. Like, literally, like most people say to me, oh, you do all this makeup. And I'm like, I swear, like, I didn't have a clue. I was like, I didn't know anything about makeup or lashes. Like, I think I maybe had worn false eyelashes like 2 or 3 times, and I didn't know. But like, what I think for me as well, the whole like, I wear a lot of makeup, and people are like, do you always wear that much? So like, well, just now in lockdown, I've actually been lazy and done nothing. But generally, if I'm leaving my house, like, I will go out looking like this. For me, I call this my natural look. It's absolutely not natural, but for me, these daft white lines that some people just keep, I get messages from people literally saying, can you stop doing that to your eyes? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, this makes me feel like me. I understand that not everybody likes it, and I am not offended if people go, I really don't like your makeup. That's okay. But to me, like, what's important and what has helped me is being true to me, you know, and learning to be accepting, you know, like you're saying. And you know, I agree the same. Like, it's not that you're better or worse whether you are public or you're private or what you do. It's about, for me, I believe personally that it's about it's what's best for you. So, you know, like, I have a friend who's had alopecia for at least 20 years now. Literally only her close family know. Nobody else knows. And she would die if she thought anybody would find out. But the thing is, she's not hiding from shame or anything. She's just, that's very private. Like, she wouldn't talk about whether she gets waxed or what, you know, like, for her it's very much the same. And you know, that gives her confidence. And she'll sometimes say, you know, I kind of wish that I could be more open. And I'm like, why? You're accepting of who you are, and that is what is best for you, and that shows so much strength. Like, for me, that would have been pressure. I can't be like that. I could keep a secret for anyone, but if it's something about myself, it eats me up alive if I can't, you know, if I put pressure on myself to hold it in. And whilst I blurted it out before I really was properly ready to discuss, at the same time, I was like, why did I just blurt out to everybody that I've got alopecia and I've lost my hair? But then I'm like, actually, I think I made it so easy for myself in a lot of ways. And then, you know, I mean, we've all got, there are kind of, we've all got our own life, our own stories. And, you know, I kind of think the way of breaking a stigma is to raise awareness. How do you raise awareness? You be out there. It doesn't mean every single person needs to be out there and open. It doesn't mean you're better if you are. What is the best for you to do is be yourself. You know, one of my, there we go. See, Lindsay saying I'm the same, don't show my family or friends or hubby. Exactly. And it doesn't mean, Lindsay, that you don't accept your alopecia. And you should never have to show anyone your hair. It's nobody's business. You know, I wouldn't go into a shower and go, hey, does anybody want to come and have a look at like how my body all looks? Or, you know, I wouldn't. So, you know, this is something personal as well. It's, you know, how you feel about yourself. It doesn't mean you're ashamed. It doesn't mean that that you're not strong. It doesn't mean that you're any weaker than anyone else. It means that is how you feel best in you. Like, I feel best in me by, some days I will want to just wear a wig and like my eczema can be terrible and I struggle, but I want to wear,
eczema is not loving it.
Mine's not been great, just, but then it's like some days I just want to wear a wig and I'm like, I just want to blend in, and I don't really notice people looking at me anymore because I used to be so overly like aware, hyper aware, and now I just don't notice things. But sometimes even still I'm like, I just want to wear a plain light brown plain wig with minimal makeup that doesn't even look like I'm wearing makeup. I just want to blend in to the background. And, you know, for me on that day, that's what's best for me. Some days I'll go out like this and that's what's best for me. And I think doing what feels best for yourself, for your own emotional, mental well-being, that is what's important. And I think if there are those of us that are happy to be out there and be like, way, woohoo, great. And if there are people, the one person who honestly I would say plays a huge part in my whole acceptance and coming to terms with my emotions around everything very quickly is somebody who I met through Alopecia UK and the Scottish Alopecia support group. She is not public with her alopecia, and she has said she doesn't feel she does much. And I'm like, I don't think I would be where I am just now acceptance wise if it wasn't for you, because she said to me very, very literally within a few days of me, my GP said there's a charity called Alopecia UK. I'm like, oh great, brilliant. I'll find them on Facebook, found the closed group. And then when does it change for Michelle? Sorry, I've just saw that for Wednesday. Like, so, well, I remember that my friend, I nearly says her name, anyway, she said to me, it's okay to grieve the loss of your hair. It's a loss. And I think, do you know what I realised? The biggest help for me, it was somebody making me realise my emotions were valid.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it doesn't matter if you're angry, if you're upset, if you're confused, whatever your emotions are, you're allowed to feel them. You don't need to be okay. You don't ever need to think, I need to be fine with this.
That I don't think as well it matters at what point of your journey. It's allowed to change. Like it's 16 years for me to get to a point where I suddenly was sharing on Instagram. But my mum would always say to me, you know, I know when you've truly accepted your alopecia, Laura, because you'll be willing to walk down the street and you won't care what people think. And that used to really bug me because I thought no one should be telling me what, even my mum shouldn't be telling me what acceptance.
Yeah. And acceptance is different for all of us. Like,
it's a goal for me, but it's not going to be one that if I do it and then decide I don't want to do it again, that's okay as well, is basically what I was trying to say. Can I was meant to be bossing you about, but I haven't spoken in about 10 minutes. I thought I was meant to be asking you questions. What's going on?
This is where you need to go, Michelle. Shut up. Sorry, I've noticed people are commenting as well that we've kind of missed.
Just keep chatting. It's just that I actually did have you say stuff, and then I want to ask you a question, but I just can't. I can't get in.
Have a code. Just be like.
No, I was going to say a specific question. Don't let me get to ask you, and it was around obviously what you're talking about is, and it's always the message I say as well, you know, you do you, and whatever it looks like to you, you can be you can be an alopecia ambassador and part of the movement, but doing it quietly and behind the scenes. And
of course.
But if someone asks you the question, and I really feel strongly about this, and I change my mind depending on the day, if I said to you, you can have your hair back tomorrow.
No.
I don't want. But this is a weird one, because if someone asked me that, I would be intrigued, but I don't think that makes me a bad alopecia ambassador just because I'm like, yeah, I mind having my hair back. It's mainly because of my eczema. I'm like, it would be intriguing to see what it would be like not to have to wear a wig.
And I mean, it's funny, like, I remember, you know, it's, for me personally, if somebody said, actually there was, I can't remember, I don't think it was Pfizer, there was one of the kind of big pharmaceutical companies were doing research. They're actually kind of mid doing a research study, and it's like qualitative research, so rather than objective facts and figures, it's asking opinions. So I think I'd maybe seen it in Alopecia UK had sent an email out, and all the questions were based around, so if these were risks, would you take the risk for your hair back? If this was a medical risk, if it is like physical risks, if it increased your risk of cancer, would you still try? Now, there is, as far as I'm concerned, I answered it honestly for myself. As far as I'm concerned now, then no. I mean, a lot of people, I made the conscious decision. Yeah, see when Monica's saying that, as long as I was guaranteed of it not falling out again, that is a big reason why I have said I wouldn't want my hair back, because see people who have this cyclical loss, that they lose their hair, it comes back, they lose it.
Hey, I've got like 5 eyelashes coming back on this left eye. I'm both excited, but also I know.
Scared. I would spend my whole life worrying. I would literally, I could have hair down to my backside, and in 15 years I would still be waiting for the patch. And
so for the last 4 years, every 18 months I've had regrowth, and then it's lasted for about 5 to 6 months in terms of my eyelashes and brows, and then it falls out again.
It goes.
And I was speaking to Never Too Bald. I was speaking to Jess about it, and she was like, "Oh my god, I literally haven't had any regrowth of my lashes for like years. That's amazing." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." But just as I start to get used to them being there again, it's almost like it's like
you're going back through that loss. And I think
again.
I mean, I think the thing is as well, it's like for me now that, like, when I saw the dermatologist as well, I was doing my whole crazy nurse, like, love systematic reviews, love research. Let's go in the Cochrane Library and see what I can read about alopecia areata and treatments. So I was all prepped up. I go in and start quoting research and quoting systematic review. And I said to him, I just need the diagnosis, and ideally I would like a wig prescription. I need to wear a wig. I can't go without a wig. I will never go without a wig. You know, like, and I had said that to him, and he was like, it's alopecia universalis. You don't. Well, he's like, well, okay, you've got about 4 hairs. They're going to go soon, and it might come back. It probably won't. And he was like, now there are things that we could try. I mean, and I said, honestly, I have read all the research, and for, you know, autoimmune type alopecia, you know, without totally wiping out my immune system, there is no way to guarantee my hair coming back. There is nothing that's medically significant and medically efficacious, and I can't afford hope. For me, I need acceptance. And he was like, oh, right. And I mean, this was at the start of my journey. This did not mean I had acceptance. I was like, for me, my goal is acceptance. I need that to be my focus. Not, I can't put myself through the heartbreak of trying loads of things and them failing. So I was like, I know what the research says. Probably nothing's going to work. So for me, that finishing line there is acceptance. Now, I might strive towards that and never reach it, and that's okay. That is totally fine. And I genuinely didn't think I would ever get there, and it kind of happened over time. But I kind of feel like I had to go through the hurt, the pain. I felt broken. I felt so broken. I felt like genuinely thought, I don't know how I'm meant to be here, like, in a year. How can I live my life like not knowing who I am anymore? And people are like, it's a bit melodramatic. No, it's not, because I felt like I'd lost my identity. I questioned so much. And I think for me, a big thing that helped me, I had so much support, but also a massive thing for me personally, and everybody's very different. You know, I'm always saying, we're not robots. We're not just physical. We've got intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual sides of ourselves. And for me, like, I kind of think, like, I have a pretty strong faith, and I know what my beliefs are. And for me, I just praise constantly. And I felt like, for me, I mean, people can be like, that's nonsense. That's okay, you know, like everybody should believe what they want to believe. For me, my kind of faith helped me through the biggest part of it. But I still didn't think I would ever get there. But, you know, at the same time, I realised how privileged I am to have a husband and parents that were just like, I mean, I remember saying, literally, like, the day I lost my second patch of hair, saying, somebody at work said I should shave my head, like, and raise money for Macmillan. And I was like, that's so insensitive. Like, and then I was like, oh my goodness, it's not. Why don't I try and take control? Because I couldn't deal with my husband waking up spitting out my hair, because I'm like, you know, and I got my friend to cut my hair, and she's a hairdresser. She was crying. She was like, Michelle, I can't believe I'm actually going to buzz cut your head here and like just razor you. And I was like, just do it. People were so kind. And I was like, if it's the last haircut I get, it's the best.
And getting a hairdresser friend to do it, that's the best of both worlds, because you've got a friend and a hairdresser all in one. That's kind of perfect. Like,
yeah, totally. But, and I'm just seeing some of these, and like I totally see what Monica's saying, like the grieving process all over again if it does fall out. That for me is a big thing. And like, I don't want my hair to, I think part of the reason as well, it sounds crazy, but I mean, as you asked me along my journey, I would have given different answers, but I'm now at the stage where, if I'm totally honest, I don't want my hair to come back. And the reason I don't want my hair to come back, the thought of going through the loss I couldn't deal with, but also in the way that when I lost my hair, I felt I lost part of my identity, like the physical part of me, and it affected my whole sense of self and sense of identity. I feel that now I'm very accepting of who I am. And if my hair come back, I think it would send me into a similar turmoil. Like, alopecia has, I've tried so hard to promote body positivity. I mean, I can do that if my hair comes back still. But I'm like, but part of me is like, I feel like alopecia is part of like what's helped to make me who I am. And I feel like if my hair come back, I mean, it's not going to change who I am. And I know that. Same as you know, it doesn't matter what I knew when my hair fell out. I believe that I would go through those emotions again in a kind of reverse situation, because now I feel this is me, you know, this is me. And I mean, I don't know, none of us know what's around the corner, and things are hard, and it's so, like, I'm just reading this absolute worst.
This is your sign, because otherwise you'll keep going on. And I want to make sure we're answering people's questions. When it hurts when people say it's just hair, it really is so much more. I have a question then for you and people watching. It seems to me that it's always one of the two extremes. There's nothing in the middle, and I find myself saying that a lot. But you either get people almost condescending you and belittling the feelings associated with losing your hair, even though you've just explained perfectly all the feelings that come with that for you, you know, and obviously that was just your experience, but I'm sitting here and I can hear so much of what you're saying, and I'm like, yeah. Or you get the other people that are like, oh my God, how do you even get out of bed in the morning? It's just like,
I know, neither of those things help. I mean, I remember, and it's funny because I don't, like, people have said to me, how would you want someone to react? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I think the best thing for me was, it was somebody with alopecia who's very private, but honestly a massive inspiration to me. And like, totally, I love that she's my friend and that she lives like not too far from me, and not seen her for ages. But you know, I'm just like, she's just been so supportive with the words that she says, and I'm like, actually, just somebody to validate your emotions for me and to be there for you. I mean, what can anyone else do? You know, nobody can make your hair come back. Nobody can just go, whoa, get over it, there you go, you're fine now. It doesn't work like that. I mean, at the time I remember crying, and my husband was like, what, like, it's, look, I don't know what to say to you. And I was like, well, I don't know what I want you to say. And he was like, why are you crying? I'm like, you won't love me. And he's like, what? Why are you saying that? And he's like, that's offensive to me. And I was like, wait, why are you being offended here? I was like, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm genuinely scared that, I mean, when you got with me, I was a size 4, ran 24 miles a day, like, was super fit, super athletic, like, typically at that point in time I had done some modeling stuff and was typically what people would probably say is fairly pretty. But at this point I'm like, I have no hair, no nothing, I have put on so much weight, I just had I was getting surgery in my leg because I had trashed my leg, so I was getting a whole knee replacement thing done, and I'm like, I am not the girl that you met. Like, what? This is not fair. And he's like, Michelle, can I just stop you? I didn't marry you for your hair. And I remember at the time going, that's what I said. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, that was the best thing he could have said. But at the time, I'm like, nothing was going to make me feel okay, because it was me projecting how I felt onto others, thinking they would think one way or another. And it was my worries. And it's okay to have those worries and insecurities. I think for me, the big part about why I do post selfies, I do write so much nonsense, is because I thought, no, I didn't realise that so many people were thinking, oh, I'm so vain, when it's not vanity. I wish somebody had said to me, do you know, it's not vanity. And I felt like that too. Or, you know, like, I don't like when people say, I know how you feel, because nobody can ever know how you feel. Nobody's ever walked your shoes. But I think what we can do is relate to one another's experience. And for me, when I hear somebody saying, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore, or I feel worried, or I feel self-conscious, I feel like I don't want him to look me in the eye, I'm like, I totally get that. That's how I felt. But nobody said it at the time, and I thought, nobody else handles it like me. And I would be like, oh my goodness, look at her hair and her hair. And then it got to the stage I was like, oh my goodness, look how pretty that bald girl is. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm now not only feeling bad about comparing myself to people with hair because I don't have any, I'm now going, oh my goodness, like, she's pretty without hair and I'm not. And it's like, what? But then I don't know, like, I kind of found makeup. For me, makeup, this sounds so stupid to some people, but for me, makeup was part of my kind of acceptance as well, because I think, I mean, like, I would do crazy makeup. Like, I didn't know what, somebody says blend your makeup, and I'm like, blend? What do you mean blend? What's contour? What foundation? All this stuff that you just, I'm like, foundation for me was shove it in the hands and just rub it in, and then no, like, it doesn't match, but it's cool, I'll just wear a pony, like, it's fine. But, you know, it was like, for me, I kind of felt like, I don't care if people like how I look, this is how I'm choosing to look. And I think for me, maybe it was a control thing. I'd lost control of how I looked, so I couldn't get it back necessarily by having hair, because no matter what wig I put on, I didn't have money for several wigs. I was second-hand wigs, but you know, nothing felt like me. So I guess it was like, well, if I'm not going to look like me, then cool, I'll choose how I want to look. And I would sit and I would copy people like Jamie Genevieve. I found, like, I'd met her in Glasgow when she worked as a makeup artist. Now she's like just amazing. But I would watch her YouTube videos when she had YouTube. Before that, I would try and copy her photos. And for me, it was giving me control, you know.
Can I ask about that? Because I think it's interesting you've used the word control, because with the whole oversharing thing again, I mean, I definitely don't now. In fact, I'm losing control by binge eating in lockdown, but I basically went really, really hard on exercise and dieting when I started losing my hair as a teenager. And I look back now and I think, oh, I wonder why I was doing that. But, you know, at the time, I didn't have the capacity to understand what all these things were that I was doing. But I effectively, it must have been because I was in panic mode. And ironically, restricting your diet and exercising all the time and effectively becoming anorexic isn't going to help the hair loss.
No, no. And I went through a phase of like just not eating it, and it's, you know, and it's like, and it wasn't, it's kind of, it's not really about that in itself. It's, for me, like, I mean, I don't think, even now, there are things I do now that I'm like, it's not until afterwards I'm like, oh my goodness, Michelle, you were like 37 years old, you were like 38 years old, oh my goodness, get a grip. And, you know, I dare say there will be things that I do next year, and then in 5 years I'll look back. I think the benefit of hindsight is always a great thing, but, you know, I think, like you're saying, it's like, at the, like, I just thought I just want to play with makeup, or like, that looks cool. It's just, it's a change in focus was maybe what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, actually, that was my way of taking control of my looks. And if somebody thinks I don't like how you look, it wasn't because of my hair, which I couldn't deal with. Now I don't care if they like me being bald or not, it's no odds. But at the time, I couldn't deal with somebody judging me based on hair loss. So I'm like, if you judge me based on my makeup, that's cool, because I've chosen to be like this.
Okay, so can I ask, because this is really interesting. I have always been a bit of I'm a lazy Susan. Wait, that's a piece of furniture.
Oh no, that's the thing, you spin it, get the foot on it.
Okay.
I know what you you mean though. I know what you mean. Okay.
So you're amazing at makeup, but the thing is, maybe because I was so young when it first happened, and I haven't really started playing with makeup yet.
Yeah.
Like I was still at, like eyeliner, like just a bit of black eyeliner, side fringe. It was really emo phase, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I've really struggled, especially with eyebrows, until I found these eyebrow transfers. I can't bang on about them enough because I felt like terrified that people would think I'm superficial when they saw my makeup, because obviously I was going to school drawing on my eyebrows, wearing eyeliner, and I didn't want people to think, oh, she's a bit full of herself. And isn't that ridiculous? Like that
no,
was my...
but you know the thing is though, like I think like I would just like to apologise to anybody who does message me if I don't see your messages. Lots get filtered out, but I get a lot of weird messages. And one thing that I get a lot of trolling, I suppose you call it, over is people just going on, like really, not just this, I mean, you can dislike it, you can tell me dislike it, that's okay, but like really, really being quite hurtful with things that they say. And it's like, all you care about is your appearance, like maybe go and try and grow a brain cell. And I'm getting all this stuff, and I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know about me, you don't know my life, you don't know, like, and do you know what? If you genuinely think that I'm really low intelligence, why would you judge me for that? Like, because that's not within my control. And how do you know whether I do or don't? And actually, does it affect your life anyway? You know?
Sorry, I was waving at Emma, but and Emma will jump on.
Sorry.
She'll jump on the trolls bandwagon, because and you're exactly right, just not even engage, you know. But it's
hard though, and I think people sometimes think because you are quite out there, like for me, I just think people just assume you've got really thick skin, and it's like I am very accepting of how I look. Does it mean I love how I look? No, and that is a whole thing within itself that we've spoken about, and we probably will have a few sessions to chat over, and it'll be a recurring theme, I think, because it's so important. But like, people go, oh, I wish I could love myself like you love yourself, and I'm like, it's not a narcissism, love yourself. For me, it's not about like loving myself, it's about accepting myself as I am right now, and I'm cool with that. The part of me that I really want to change is things like how I am as a person. Like, I want to be more patient, I want to try and be more kind, I want to be more giving, I want to be better at these things. It's not about how I look, because at the end of the day, when people say to me as well, you know, like, somebody sent me a message and said, you've got a cheek wearing that stoma underwear because like you're totally overweight. And I'm like, I have eyes, I know I'm overweight. And yeah, I do have cellulite, but you know what? That's cool. I don't actually know how to filter out cellulite anyway on a photo editor. But even if I did, do I care? No. Do you know what? I've got cellulite. I've actually got loads of stretch marks as well. I have scars, which is why I've got tattoos covered in scars. You know, I've got a stoma. My bibble hangs out my stomach, and am I ashamed of it? No, I'm not.
But I mean, the thing, you can't do right for doing wrong.
You can't.
Filter, people will have a go at you for showing your wobbles or whatever, you know, like, not you, anyone, like
no,
people just want to moan, you know. So
and then it's like you look at the girls that are models that are like size 0 or like our size 4, and then they get hassled because they're too fit, and you're like, do you know what? Why can we not celebrate everybody for looking different? Like, you know, why can we not celebrate it? Like, every time I see you, I remember like one of the first photos I saw of you, and like, I was like, oh, look at her dimples. She's so, like, she's gorgeous because you got these dimples. And I'm just like,
I've got
eyes, those green eyes. I'm so jealous. Like, and then, you know, oh, I don't know. It's like, and then like lovely Lilabelle Louise, right? So Louise, if you see her eyes, she has amazing eyes. She's got these big blue eyes and she's stunning. And I'm just like, but why can people not just celebrate everybody for being different? And at the end of the day, if you really don't like somebody, just don't follow them. Yeah, block them even. You won't see any of their stuff anymore. You know, but be kind, because just because we are very open about things, you have to make yourself very vulnerable to be able. For me, I feel like I'm being quite vulnerable by doing that. I'm happy to do it. I want to be out there because I don't want MD to be as low as I felt at certain times in my life with my hair loss and with other things. I don't want anybody to experience that. So I'm willing to kind of be vulnerable and open myself up, but I still have feelings, you know, and it still hurts, like, at times, and it's just, you can let certain things wash over you, but you know,
you can't, and not sometimes. And Alopecia saying that's what terrifies her about opening up on Instagram, because you feel that you're too sensitive and not in the blessed place yet to cope with that. And then don't don't. But
Don't,
also,
yeah.
like,
You don't need to, and it doesn't mean that. I think as well, Alex, like, it doesn't mean that you're stronger because you do, or stronger because you know, like, I think what I think shows true strength and what I just really admire in anybody, like hair loss or not, you know, is just being able to do what's best for you. You know, whatever's best for you, that's what makes you strong. It's not about what the action is or the end result. It's about being able to say, I'm just not really, like, to be able to look at yourself and say, I know I'm a sensitive person. I'm really actually very sensitive as well. And it's like often people think you're not. And I think when you're very sensitive, you can be very empathetic. You're very easily hurt. And do you know what? It's amazing to be able to recognise that within yourself, and you know, to do what's best for you. So if you don't feel you're ready to do it, you don't ever need to be ready to do it.
Could add as well, Alex, maybe interrogate the reasons why you're thinking you want to be more open on Instagram. If it's to be more part of the hair loss community, there are other ways to do that other than posting selfies. You might still want to post pictures of where you live, and just for the first 3 months, and then I don't know what happened, lockdown happened, I just got bored. But you know, like, you're here now, you're chatting with us, that's still getting the benefits of being on Instagram without having to do the other stuff, you know. So
and honestly, the girl that I was talking about that kind of really told me it's okay to grieve the loss of your hair, that really got me, like, feeling I was worthy almost of, like, being human still and being alive. Actually, that's how bad I was. I just felt I don't want to be here anymore. And she said to me, it's okay to grieve the loss of your hair, and I burst out crying, like, when I read the message. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, like, it is okay for me to feel like this. It's okay for me to hurt. And she is not open publicly. She does not post photos ever, never, probably won't ever. And, you know, she is just such a huge part of, like, the community. Like, there's a closed group for Alopecia UK. We've got a closed group for support, and there are a few closed groups on Facebook and the likes. But, you know, even just, like, her messaging me and the things that she said, that honestly is just, I will honestly be forever grateful to her for everything that she's done. And she's not, you know,
she's clearly really important to your journey, because you've talked about before, and like that being like a milestone in your
experience. It totally is. And I swear, like, I wouldn't have my business, I wouldn't be able to be so open. And I just think, I don't know how much longer I could have spiraled. I don't know if I could have gotten any lower, and genuinely was at the stage I didn't want to be in this world anymore. And, like, honestly, in a big way, I feel she kind of saved me in a lot of ways, you know. And it was like, I do have my faith in the rest of it, but it was just something I really needed. And she is not somebody that you would see on Instagram or ever know that she has hair loss at all, and she has the best wigs, like, that you nobody would know. You just wouldn't. But honestly, she's just massive and so important to me. So you don't need to be, I mean, if you want to be for yourself, then great. And if you think it's something you want to work towards, whether you get there or not, I think, like, it's the same as life. It's about the journey, you know. Like, we can all have goals and ambitions. I've had 20 years to grieve, and it's only since I found the community I've actually started to accept myself. Yeah, do you know? And I think sometimes speaking to people who have similarities to us or have things, I think when it's something that has hurt a lot as well, it does help you kind of form a really strong bond with other people when you have kind of traumatic or, like, kind of these issues, and you have it in common. You can form really strong bonds, you know. Really.
Sorry, I think there's a slight delay, but you talk about trauma. Often hair loss seems to be, lots of people's alopecia seems to be triggered by trauma, and obviously Ballerina was saying that in her live series, you know, the hair loss summit that we were both a part of, and she was talking about that kind of trauma, or that often being a trigger for people with their hair loss. But beyond that, like we were talking about with the diagnosis, that moment is traumatic in itself. It's such a vicious cycle. It's like, this is traumatic, I'm losing my hair. Just so you know, right, you have 7 minutes left, so if anyone has any questions for Michelle, because I do feel like Michelle is our key champion now, and so if you have any questions, if not, Michelle, did you have anything that we wanted to think a bit about what we were going to talk about?
Yeah, I think, I mean, really, one thing that would be important to say is, really, Laura and I are both very much, I mean, correct me for anything or whatever you're joining, but like, I think we are both very much of the opinion how painful is a head tattoo. Wendy, no, not, like, I've got makeup all over it just now. Not at all. Honestly, I fell asleep. Didn't hurt. I was surprised. I thought it would be sore. The worst tattoo I've got is inner arm on my bingo wings here. Like, that's the most painful. Head, fine. Totally fine.
It's so, surely you feel everything.
You do, but I find it's not as sore over bone. Like, over fatty tissue, it's like, oh, like, whereas it's vibrating and it's irritating. But I mean, it gets to the stage after a bit, I just feel it's quite relaxing, and I fell asleep with my head tattoos. Genuinely, I did fall asleep. I fell asleep on the MTV show, like, getting my head tattoo. It's ridiculous. But I would say, like, well, I got my head tattoo. My top one, I got that first. When actually I got that from my husband, paid for it for my birthday 6 months after I developed alopecia, because I was like, I feel that I'm at a stage after 6 months. I was like, I wasn't really. I wouldn't go out bald. But I was on social media showing that I was bald, and I was just of the opinion. I feel like I've changed and I've had a kind of spiritual awakening. So I got a lotus mandala because that symbolises change, growth, spiritual awakening, which was just perfect. And where else better to get it than my head, because the alopecia did it. So then what I got done was I was on Just Tattoo of Us, season 4, episode 1. It's on Amazon. I know, it's like, anyway, don't want to watch it. But I'm actually on there with my kind of best friends on the planet that I've known since we were small. And she chose a butterfly for the back of my head. Now, all my tattoos I've got, even the patterns, like, they all have different symbols and meaning to me. Everyone's got meaning. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm letting somebody choose something on my body and I don't know where it's going. And she chose a butterfly, and she was like, just to symbolise like what you've been through, and, you know, starting off what you thought was ugly, it became so beautiful. And I was like, oh. So, but no, I fell asleep getting that done. But and then I get the sides done back home. But, you know, it's like, I think for me, for this series, for us as well, we're both very passionate about wanting to raise awareness of hair loss, but like raise awareness of different conditions, body image, and talk about being body positive, not narcissistic sort of thing, but, you know, being accepting.
Exactly. And Matilda's literally just put, I have a strong sense of guilt towards myself for not loving myself enough. Is that ever happened to you? Yeah, it happens daily. For me, I can talk about the fact that actually I'm very aware, and I know I've spoken to you about this, Michelle, like that sometimes, because I'm now more open on Instagram, I feel there's almost more of a disconnect sometimes between how I feel in my day to day. Like, I might, if I see the postman coming, some days I'm fine, and other days I still like, oh, quickly I put my hair on, or oh, quickly I put my hat on. And I think, I bet some people that follow me don't think I'm like that still, because I'm still working.
This is what I carry around with me, my little Massimo Primrose, and genuinely, like, I mean, if I'll go out bald, I'll go out like this, quite confident and fine. And I think this is a big part of me using makeup, is me taking control over my appearance. If I have on no makeup, I don't have eyebrows, don't have lashes, I don't like to answer the door with no makeup. I know something, I'll shove this on my head all the time. I always have one. And does that mean I'm not accepting? No, it doesn't. Sometimes though, I actually feel like a fraud, and I feel like I'm being guilty, because I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm saying you know, it is important to accept who we are. Does it mean that we can do it every second of every day? For me, no. Life is a journey, and we have ups, we have downs, and it's the kind of beautiful but difficult thing about being human, is that, you know, that is very much life. And I think for me, like, I try to post photos of myself when I don't feel comfortable with, I'll go out bald but crazy full face makeup, and probably the more extreme, the more comfortable I feel. You know, whereas if I went out with like no makeup on, I would need to wear headwear. I actually don't even wear a wig without makeup. If I wear a wig, I've got on makeup.
I'm the exact opposite. I feel so self-conscious. If I go out to the local shop and I'm wearing false lashes, I just feel like a fraud. I just feel ridiculous. But I think the biggest thing is, like, yeah, not, as soon as you start feeling guilt about what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing, I mean, that's what you have to stop and think about. Because why are you feeling guilt? Because you shouldn't be putting that pressure on yourself. That's coming from somewhere else, I believe. I think that's coming from society, but you know, like, and then obviously we internalize that and put it on ourselves. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think Matilda, like, however you feel, like, your alopecia's back after 30 years, and I mean, I can't imagine like that happening. And do you know what? It's rubbish. I mean, I think it must be harder in a lot of ways sometimes going through it a second time and over again. And you know, it's like it kind of breaks you down in a way. Like, I mean, I don't know, I've not been through that, but like for me, I kind of think it must bring back some of those emotions from 30 years ago, as well as what you're experiencing again now. And you don't need to love yourself for, do you know, like, it's okay to be totally heartbroken. It's okay to feel like I dealt with this better before and I'm not dealing with it well now. That's okay, because you're in a different place in your life now than you were then. It's okay to be angry and think it's unfair and to feel it's just to, you know, whatever you're feeling though, Matilda, that's okay. It's absolutely okay. And should you feel guilt over having emotions? No, you shouldn't. You know, like, you can feel how you feel, and you don't need to love yourself. You don't.
And I think it's what, hopefully, because we're coming up to an hour now, so I'm gonna because I said I was gonna do the time, because the whole point of this is every Tuesday, hopefully, if you feel like you want to rant, but equally, you know, we're not psychologists, we're not anything like that. We're just two bull chicks like that happen to have lost our hair, and but it does.
We're just sharing our stories, you know, and like, I think like we're here to basically do what we can do and see where it goes. And like, I think we've not made a regimented program of like, this week we talk about this and this week we talk about that, because we want this very much to be guided by all of you guys. And you know, like, I think next week the plan is we'll go onto my channel to do this, and I'll be kind of interviewing Laura, or like asking Laura some questions and letting Laura kind of talk more and share more of her story. And then, you know, from there, you guys want us to talk about it. I mean, we're both pretty much open books, and we have said we are happy to talk about things. Like, there are questions that everybody has. There are questions that I get constantly within my business, and that actually, even before I had that, like, through people saying, you know, I've just got a new boyfriend, and like, to be intimate, do I wear hair, do I not? And I'm like, whatever suits you best is what you do. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how to keep your wig secure if you're keeping it on for that. That is a very real concern, and I think both of us are happy to talk about most things, really.
Yeah.
And like, kind of let you guys, we're wanting to do this to try and do something positive, and really cover as much as we can and support people. So let's all just get talking, and you guys, anything if there's something you feel strongly about, you do not need to even write it on here on one of the lives if you don't want to. If you have questions like what to do, I'm going to start checking all my DMs, and what to do, message Laura or message myself, message either of us, and you know, we won't mention your names. If you want to say, hey, listen, can you talk about this, just don't, it's okay, that's fine. Send us anything, we are totally cool with that. And it's great, actually, for us, it's good because we want to help or to open up a discussion. So let's do it. Make suggestions, let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, do it. And I'm sure we can post some reminders on stories as well, can't we? With a nice trendy little box. I do love doing a video where I point to the space and then like fill in your answers here. So any excuse to do that, I'm happy.
I need to learn this. I feel like I'm very old, like, and like, Laura, how do you do this? Laura, how do you do that? Laura, what do I do for this? So yeah, that'll be good. So next week we'll go onto my channel, we'll hop on over there, and you'll get to hear loads from Laura, and
I was only teasing you because I'm normally the gobby one.
So true.
That's what's brilliant about us, because actually for once I can take a seat back because I'm not the gobby one in our friendship. It's brilliant.
No.
Gobby's not bad. It's just nice being the introvert for once. But no, it was just, I was meant to be like question time. I thought I was going to have like, but you did answer all my questions, because what's brilliant about you is because you're an expert in your life. Obviously, you just naturally talk about it. So, you know,
I'm an expert at talking too much.
Well, next week maybe I'll be. Are you both fans of big round earrings? No, I'm not. I actually posted this as a question the other day. Yeah, you are. I don't know. I felt like the other day, if I wear hoops with my bald head, I felt like a pirate. And actually, only two people voted for yes, you do on my
Oh, and I
story.
mean,
And I was like,
right,
really?
this is so bad. Like, I do so many bloody, emails. I never see these fun things. I need to get with it, man. One thing I have to say I love is big earrings with a bald head. I don't know what it is. I just think if you're bald and you totally wear big, I just love that. I don't know. Like, I stupidly, to just be awkward, just for a stupid reason, decided to get ear stretchers and stretch my ears out, which personally I don't like, which sounds crazy because I've done it. Anyway, I have a load. I actually have, I don't know if you can see, I've got a load of earrings hanging up there, all of my dangly ones. They're all like ear stretchers. Oops, there, that thing, that tree. There's hundreds, and I've got 2 shelves full. Yeah, big round earrings are so cool. I will wear.
If you have a request next week, wear them. That's your request. Wow, not only are we going to get topic suggestions, people are actually going to start suggesting what we're wearing, which actually, Michelle did have a really good idea. Obviously, we could twin on certain wigs as well. So we could even have a section of the talk where we're talking about the wig we're wearing that week. But that might be a bit much, but we can see.
But I mean, we can see, that's the thing. I mean, this is the thing that's good about it. If you guys want us to do some wig chat, wig education, like I have been and done training, I've spent a lot of money on lots of training for the benefit of helping people. And if I can share anything to help, or if Laura can give hints and tips of things she's done to help, if it goes that way, brilliant. And if it doesn't go that way, cool. You know.
Yeah. Although I am going to put it out there, I'm going to speak for the people. You are a wig expert. I ask you questions all the time. You're bloody busy. I said bloody now as well. That's the 3rd time. Okay. But like, so I will speak for the people. I will gather questions. I have so many questions about wigs for you. So I think it would be really helpful to definitely have one week where we do some kind of, let's pick Michelle's brains about wigs.
That's cool. I'm totally all in for that, honestly. And like, I mean, the thing is as well, I'll always be totally honest. If somebody asks me an opinion on things, and I'm very much of the opinion, like, any wigs that I wear, and I know I have a lot, and I post a lot, I pay for them myself, and I do buy them myself, and they are my own wigs. And I don't like to kind of bash anybody or whatever if I don't like a wig. But if I say I love a wig, I love it. And my problem is I love all the wigs. But yeah, there are lots of different things that I'm more than happy to talk about. And likewise, we're just happy to kind of let you guys guide us. A wigathon, I love it, Louise, a wigathon. And I will wear my round earrings.
Oh my God, I've just had an idea for a segment, like we can actually pretend this is a show. I'm going to give you 1 minute and you have to put on and off. How many wigs can you put on and off in 1 minute? And I'm going to tell you, we're going for a world record. We're going to do it.
That should totally be a world record. Oh man, I'm actually so
I'm looking it up. As soon as we're done, I'm looking it up. What is the world record for how many different wigs put on in the space of a minute?
I love it. I love it so much. And you know, the thing is as well, like, this sounds really silly, but like, even if it gets to, if people are like, hey, listen, Laura, you had this amazing wig on and you had like a wee braid in it. How did you do that? We could do tutorial thing, like just silly basic hair tutorials. Like, I mean, genuinely, if that sort of thing would help, like,
again, I need you to show me. You posted a picture earlier. You said it was Zara, the first wig you ever bought, and you just loved the braid. And I was thinking, again, maybe because I was young and I used to hide it, and I used to just do the same thing every day, which was side clip, hide the left eyebrow. So I'd love to learn. So I think live, you could teach me, and then we could all have a go. That would be great.
Practice it, and then we could do. Oh, do you know, the thing is as well, I'm happy to do things like, not all the time, obviously can't, but every so often we could even do like a wee kind of challenge, I suppose, and like maybe once a month we could do like a wee winner and like win a wig, and you know, or the funniest style of this, or like, I don't know, like we'll think up things like that, so we could do some giveaways and fun as well. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, thank you for having me on your channel. It's been amazing, and I cannot wait until next week when you're on my channel and I get to ask you lots of questions. And thank you to everybody for actually watching us, and you know, for tuning in. It's really been great. I'm so excited about this. I think it's going to be a good thing, and yeah, I mean, anything
on Tuesday night, but now we can just have a chat on Tuesdays. It's great. Chatty Tuesdays.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, right. I am going to end the live for now. I'm going to save it to my channel, so if anyone had to run off or came to the end, if you want to check back on my channel, do. Then next week we'll be saving it on Michelle's. So yeah.
We'll see you all. We'll see you for the next Chatty Tuesday, Wednesday for Alopecia.
Oh, yes, it's Wednesday for Alex. Okay.
Bye, guys.